you're surrounding yourself by people that are smarter or know different things than you do, then you're starting to do what I call leveling up. And when you level up, that's when things happen. If you're in your comfort zone, if you're in your box, you're in the wrong place. We all know that real estate has created more millionaires than any other industry on the planet. We also know that it has created a lot of heartache due to mismanagement, overborrowing, and just simple life events that happen to all of us. Welcome to the Cash Flow Pro podcast. My name is Casey Brown, and I am your fearless leader. And although we might be bourbon sipping and at times foul-mouthed Southerners, we will always do our best to be honest, straightforward, and due diligent with all of the information we pass along to you. Welcome to the show. Hey, Casey Brown here with Cash Flow Pro. I'm here today with Derek Petersen of what's called the Adapt family. Now, under the Adapt family, he's got Adapt Health, Adapt Wealth, Adapt Self, and Adapt Media. And today we're going to be focusing a little bit on Adapt Wealth, because we want to figure out what he's doing in his capital raising strategies, and we want to talk about how he's going about business and marketing and all of that good stuff that kind of comes along with it. So welcome, Derek.
Thanks, Casey. Appreciate you having me on, man.
Sure. So tell us a little bit about what you do at Adapt Family, and then maybe we can break down the each entity or discuss the different purposes of those, and then maybe dive into the Adapt Wealth part of it.
Yeah, for sure, man. So adapt. I'm just going to start with the word adapt, right? Because you said adapt a lot there. It's a word that's sort of near and dear to me. It's something that, for those who are watching, they can probably, see my shirt. There's a big letter A on it. And for those who can see, the actual A is actually an A, but it's also a Y. And originally it started with something that was called Adapt U. So long story, but a journey that I went through personally in my life, which a lot of us have these journeys, which sort of define, where we go forward. I went through massive change in my life, and I realized that I needed to change. And in that process, and in that journey, and through that process of change, I had sort of this awakening, both spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. And it was a very profound moment, probably something for another show, because I could talk hours about it. But from that, this A was drawn, right? I remember drawing it at my daughter's swim meet, and it was at a very dark time in my life. And it was in that moment I was like, okay, I'm going to change a lot of things. And since then, this A has been stuck to everything that I put my hands on in terms of business, the way I lead my life, and the way I try to help and give back with this Adapt family. And it really means a ton to me, but it's all about helping people change to adapt. And it originally started with, I needed a business, I needed a company, and I was in the healthcare industry. I owned multiple medical distribution companies, and I really didn't enjoy the business. It made an income, but it wasn't really connecting with who I was and what I wanted to do. It was more about making money than making a difference. And so decided one day, I was like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to I exited the business, and I decided to get into something that I knew connected with me, that I knew I would love, I would enjoy, and it wouldn't feel like work. And that was marketing other people's businesses. I always felt that it was fun to help other people grow and share their story and share their message. And Adapt Media Agency was born. And over the years, we've really grown into a large marketing firm for a variety of different businesses. But specifically, we work with folks like you, Casey. Obviously, you being a client, we work with real estate syndicators, and we help them market their businesses, and to be able to build these machines, to be able to have these great offerings that they can bring out to potential investors. And it's been fantastic. We had the opportunity to work with over 40 different real estate syndicated brands, from anywhere from to helping them with their podcasting to developing their entire branding, their website, their systems, their automations. And we do this for syndicators, but we do this for tons of other businesses. And it's been a fantastic part of the journey. But in the last 2 years, we've expanded. Under that umbrella of the Adapt family was just Adapt Media Agency. But now we've rolled out in this last several months, Adapt Health, Adapt Wealth, and soon to come, Adapt Self. And there are three things that happen to rhyme. So for now, that's the only three words we can find to rhyme. So we're just going to stick with those. But they're basically the pillars of life that we feel if you have your health in check, if you have your wealth in check, and you have your mindset and your mental fitness in check, like you're living a pretty good life. So we wanted to create a place where we could deliver content to people around their health, around their finances, their money, and around their mindset. But like Casey, like anybody can have a podcast and be a couple talking heads, right? But we wanted to create an environment where people could actually have actionable steps that they can take. So there's the content part, but then there's something you can do to actually make an impact and help you adapt and help you change in those areas of health, wealth, and self. So that's at a very high level. Those are sort of the four entities that fall under that Adapt brand, but they're really all embedded in the idea and the concept to help people change.
Sure, sure, and that's some of the greatest marketing minds that have ever lived. Will definitely tell you that your health, your wealth, and your relationships are pretty much the basis for all decision making, for all marketing. That's the needs we have to cover as marketers, or focus on one of those three segments, and the adapt self, or the self being the relationship part of that triangle. Obviously, the relationship with yourself is the most important. And so when you put it like that, and you put it and say, hey, the three main components of life are the are each a pillar of our total brand of business. It's wonderful. I mean, it's great. So obviously, with our audience being largely investors, and the wealth corner of that journey, let's dig in a little bit on the adapt wealth. And I know you've actually raised some money. I know you obviously have investments and other things as well, but let's kind of dig in a little bit on the adapt wealth, and what that means, and what it brings to the table, as far as how can our folks relate to the things that you all do there.
Yeah, so for Adapt Wealth, we wanted, as I consider myself, your typical retail investor, right? Somebody that has accumulated wealth, and wants to invest, wants the money to work for them, so you can start to have those passive streams of income. But I don't know what I'm talking about, right? I don't really understand a lot of the stuff that's out there. I didn't grow up in a household where I had access to that type of information. I have friends that role in socioeconomic classes where they're investing things that I just can't touch. And then I have other friends at the other end of the spectrum that I can't have that conversation with them about, investing in crypto because, they may be struggling just to put food on the table. So, you've got your network of people and you want somebody to be able to talk to, right? Without judgment, without feeling embarrassed on one end of the spectrum or the other. And I wanted a place to go to be able to learn without bias. So let's be honest, right? If I go to my broker, with all my equities or whatnot, stocks and bonds and all that, I'm gonna get typically a very biased opinion and approach. I'm like, hey, no, you should only invest in the market. Here's why: the market's where it's at, S&P all day long. Then I talked to my real estate guy. My real estate guy's like, "Oh, the stock market's trash. You need to put it in you need to put it in real estate. Real estate, it's an asset. You can touch it. It's recession. It's got recessionary benefits. There's a ton of reasons why I should be in real estate." Then I talked to my crypto guy. Crypto guy's like, "It's all trash, garbage. Crypto's the way to go. It's the future. Everyone's pulling their money out and they're putting it in crypto." And the reality is, they're all probably right in certain sense, but a lot of them are wrong. And the thing is, I'm getting biased information, but it's very narrow sighted. It's in one lane, and those people get paid to sell those things, or to have me invest with them. So there's a bit of a frustration there, right? I have really nobody to talk to. I'm getting biased information, and I'm looking for somebody to potentially network with and get access to deals that, like me as a retail investor who's had some success in their life, I have access to stuff, but I don't have access to the big boy stuff, right, Casey? So like I don't have access to things that people that have tens of millions of dollars have access to. So how do I get access to that? Is like, yeah, the institutional money, right? I just don't. So we took all these problems, and with co-founders Jason Fromer and Dr. Ben Lerner, who are co-founders of Adapt Wealth, Health, and Self, we came up with this idea of Adapt Wealth, and it was piloted under a different name for a year. It was 200 people, and those 200 people got access once a month to some great education across all the asset classes. Because now we have 200 accredited investors that somebody that has a crypto fund, like that normally wouldn't talk to me with my investing power, but 200 of me, okay, we've got their attention, right? They came and they gave us a 90-minute education on cryptocurrency that changed my life, right? It literally did. It made a huge difference because I didn't know squat about crypto, Casey, right? But now I'm like I'm in the game, right? So the so that's just one example. We had somebody come talk about tax liens, life insurance, gold and silver. What else? I mean, IPOs, options, real estate, all different types of things. So we got this education because we had, again, the attention of now. Listen, their education was biased that they approached us with, but we were getting a lot of education, so we could sort of learn about multiple things. And the collective investing power of the group now had opportunities to invest in things that normally we couldn't touch, right? So, for example, the crypto fund. The crypto fund was something that it was $500,000 to invest in the crypto fund. And I don't know about you, Casey, but I'm not sitting on 500K a scratch where I can just throw that into crypto.
That's a level of which
And
very few of us are.
yeah, right. So I was like, and into something so volatile as well. So, but they had a tremendous track record. So when we approached them, we said, well, wait a second, like 500K a piece, a little bit much. How about 500K as a group? And let's lower the minimum to $50,000. And they said, yes. So now we have that institutional style or institutional level investment opportunity that we could invest in as a group.
The fund of funds. That's
Exactly.
what we preach all the time. Your money is more powerful when it's combined, and you have more buying power. And it's people have got to figure this stuff out. And the thing is that none of the stockbrokers or any of the people that currently reside in the area of advising are self-serving. They're advising you based on what's going to make them money. They're not advising. You know what I'm saying? It's the same. It's just exactly what you just said. And you know, one of the things that this kind of leads to your adapt wealth. I didn't mean to cut you off, but this leads to the adapt wealth part of it, where one of the things that aggravated me more than anything in this entire world was the fact that people who have an IRA, a 401k, or any other type of retirement vehicle are under the impression that they can't use that to invest in anything other than what their broker says they can invest in. And their broker's not going to say, hey, man, you can take this money away from me and go buy real estate with it. Turn this into a self-directed IRA and go buy real estate. They don't tell them that. They say, oh, if you take it out, taxes and penalties will just eat it up. That's the go-to of the old school financial advisor. That's the go-to. These self-serving people is what is taxes and penalties will just eat it up. So just leave it here. Just don't even And instead of being like, hey, yeah, our returns several years ago when they got just like savings account almost had a better interest rate to a certain degree, and rather than these advisors or so-called fiduciary people coming in and saying, hey guys, listen, you would be far better off and you would make far more money if you didn't pull this out, but change it or take your self-directed IRA, use a portion of it and go invest it in some of these foreclosed real estate deals. Take some of this money and pool it around,
Mm-hmm.
and rather than just leaving it here and making a minute nominal return, something that's not going to amount to anything, go buy something you can make 10 or 15% on and then sell it, put the money back when the market turns. It was unreal to me how these advisors just left all of this stuff on the table and didn't pick it up and say, hey, client to whom I have a fiduciary duty and a duty to tell you what to do, how to make the most amount of money with your money. Leave it here with me so I can be self-serving, and don't invest it where it needs to go. And that's exactly
Mm-hmm.
right. It needs to be called adapt wealth education, because when you start teaching people how these different vehicles work and showing them ways to make their self money, everybody just it's mind boggling to me. Of course, we're in the real estate syndication business, so long term is our play, and we're talking like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 year hold periods. So I'm not exactly, but I want to split that up and say, people that come to you and can learn and figure these things out, and at least just have a little education that's non-partial, a non-partial third party that says, hey, you can do this, this, or this, instead of a partial third part, a second party saying, hey, leaving it here with me is the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's that bias that you just described, right? Where there's no education from your broker to say, hey, roll this over to a self-directed IRA and invest it in real estate or other potential vehicles, and that's because the bias exists, that it's there. I don't know what the word is, a fiduciary bias, where they don't actually get paid for that, right? Because that money is exiting and going somewhere else, being managed by someone else. But so I get that, and I can understand and relate to that. So for us, we wanted a place where we actually don't raise money, Casey. So we're not licensed. We don't raise money. What we do is our group, as a group of just a bunch of people, guys, girls, investors, doesn't matter, all different walks of life, get an opportunity to sit in front of somebody, right, like this, and hear their pitch, and we get a better deal as a group that we could get as an individual. And for somebody like you, Casey, so let's say you've got a deal, right, as a syndicator that you would want to bring to the Adapt Wealth group. Well, you as a syndicator isn't a very attractive option for you, because now you've got the attention of, which by the way, we've gone from 200 to 400 like that when we rebranded and rolled out under Adapt Wealth, and made this and opened this wide open. So now we've got 400 people that have access to a deal or an opportunity, and we can fill these deals pretty quickly. So what the group expects from us, for us to do a bit of vetting, right? So just make sure this guy isn't some sort of jack off, right? Somebody that is actually going to be able to, we do background checks just to make sure they're not a criminal. And God's honest truth, we actually were vetting a deal for an opportunity. I won't say what it was, but it turns out that the guy was in prison. We're like, yeah, you know what? We're going to pass on that one. Thank you, but no thank you. Because we feel a certain air of credibility. Like, we're going to make sure that we do a little vetting, but we tell everyone, like, do your own research. This isn't financial advice. We're just a group of people. We're just trying to get the clan together, so we get access to better education, and better opportunities. And those 200 people in year one, they invested in $14 million worth of investment opportunities that were brought to the group. So there was some pretty good investing power from that group. And it was great was there was no pressure. It wasn't like and the group's free to join. Just go to adaptmywealth.com. It's, again, adaptmywealth.com. Just, it's free to join. There's no obligation. Just, there's a podcast. You can see it on YouTube. Just get the education. We want to provide a service. But then you can just come to the Facebook group and just chat about it. Like, you're like, I don't know what to do on this crypto. What do you guys think? Everyone in that group is just like, what's the play? What do we do? Like, hey, there's real estate syndication deal set up this way. You think that's a good, and it may be part of the group, or maybe something they're doing on their own. It's cool because these people that are inside of this group, they just want to help each other, man. And that's really all we were trying to create with Adapt Wealth. Is a and really all the Adapt family. It's a community of people that want to grow their wealth, their health, for themselves.
Yep. Well, and that's almost at this day and time, it's pretty essential that we have groups of people. And and I was at a real estate conference a few weeks ago, and a guy, of course, I've heard this saying 1,000 times, but every time I hear it, it hits me like a train. But don't ever be the smartest person in the room. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And the main, of course, premise behind that is this is exactly what you're saying. Be with, look up and listen to and hear from people who are smarter than you, people that don't, if you have a problem, if you have to always constantly be the smartest person in the room, that is otherwise known as, potentially narcissistic trait, I guess, if you will, because then you,
Arrogance, yeah.
correct. And the thing about it is, and what you're saying is when you offer some free value of just like you said, hey, come to the Facebook group and say, hey, what's the play here? What's crypto is, of course, right now it's I know my crypto account is not what it once was, but that's fine.
It's a little
It's
light,
it's
isn't
it's
it? Yeah.
there. Yeah, it's there, and everybody. Somebody said the other day, well, I can hold a dollar bill in my hand. Well, that dollar bill is only worth a dollar because somebody else is going to give you something for that. So, we've been off the gold standard a long time, which is the same deal. But so, when you start learning things like that, and people come to you or come in a group, and again, you're surrounding yourself by people that are smarter or know different things than you do, then you're starting to do what I call leveling up. And when you level up, that's when things happen. If you're in your comfort zone, if you're in your box, you're in the wrong place, because you need to get out, listen up, learn, and again, not be the smartest person in the room. Or some people think they're the smartest person in the room, and believe me, I've been with some of those folks too, and they can be very damaging to a lot of things. So so just real quick, obviously, so just want to touch real quick on adapt self and adapt health. And I'm assuming it's much probably not going to raise capital in that group, but nevertheless, I mean, I'm sure if somebody has problems, have a health issue or something, maybe they can come and get some direction or learn something. Or tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking. So for Adapt Health specifically, it is very similar. It's a community, right? You just go to so it's Adapt My Wealth, Adapt My Health. Eventually it'll be Adapt Myself. It's not out yet, but adaptmyhealth.com. It's free to join. And when you join, you get access to a couple things. You get access to content, and you get access to a community. And the action item, remember before I mentioned there's action to create this adaptation. And the action on the wealth side is you listen to potential investment opportunities and you invest and you start to change your wealth, right? On the Adapt Health side, we have free challenges. In fact, we're in the midst of one right now. It's an immune health challenge. So Adapt Health is all about getting people back to being healthy the natural way. So we're very strong believers in the natural approach to wellness versus the pharmaceutical approach to wellness. And when you come to Adapt Health, that's what you're going to learn. You're going to get back to the basics on eating foods that come from this earth and doing things that we're naturally intended to do versus the things that have been sort of marketed to us over time that has brainwashed us as individuals that are really not making us healthy. And the first time in human history, the life expectancy span is starting to go the other direction, right? And we in America have more abundance, more money, and more access to healthcare than any other country in the world. Yet we're the sickest country on the planet by far. Anyone who travels will see that. And so
Absolutely. I was
Adapt My
telling somebody
Health
that the other
is
day. Golly, 100%.
mhm.
Go. I was in
Yeah. So with
Romania, and
Adapt
there
Health,
wasn't
what
an
we
overweight person anywhere. Nowhere.
No, they walk everywhere. They eat natural foods. The foods over in those other countries, they don't use pesticides. Like in the U.S., you're like we're working from kind of behind the eight ball here, and there's a lot of things we have to battle against, and people don't realize that because they've been conditioned to think certain things. So we have these challenges that are free. You join them, and our first one's going on right now, and it's all focused on each week they get a different set of videos that are sent to them via text with links for specific things that they have to do this week to focus on improving their natural immune health. So what things can I do to fortify my immune system? So whether it's the Rona or any other type of pathogen, because there's going to be more, there always is, they've been around. What can we do to naturally bolster our immune system to be able to fight this and to fight away things like cancer, heart disease, and all the inflammatory diseases that occur out there? That's really what Adapt Health is about. So the challenges are free, and they're really, again, aimed at just helping to get people healthier. And for Adapt Self, I'll just say that's coming soon, but it's very, very focused on relationships, marriages, mindset, that side of your life. That's that sort of spirituality mindset side, which is super, super important. It's really the glue that holds your health and wealth together, right? If you're between your ears is kind of messed up, right? So that's what those other arms are all about.
Yep. Well, I'm going to give you your next podcast title for Adapt Health, and my wife and I were in France about we were back. It's been a few months ago now, and so the way for us to be a healthier country is to follow what France does, and every day between 11 and I'm going to say 11 and 1:30, but it's probably more like 11 to 2. You couldn't buy groceries. You couldn't get a prescription filled.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't get anything. But you know what you could do? You could go have a cocktail. They have cocktail hour in the middle of the day. Everything closes down from 11 to 2, and it's cocktail hour everywhere. Even the people that were serving the cocktails were sitting around having cocktails between 11 and 2. It was unlike anything I've ever seen. And I thought, there's not a single person here that I've seen that's overweight. There's not a single person here that I've seen that looks like they're stressed. They're just, it's so unbelievably, the capitalist society is we're all capitalists to a certain degree, but, and I've always fancied myself as, well, I'm a capitalist. I'm going to do what it takes. And I'm sitting over there looking, I'm like, man, there's big dogs in our country that have other plans on selling us pills and whatever else it is, prescriptions and whatever else goes along with that. But then at the same time, these people over here buy their pill supply is 11 to 2 cocktail hour. Then they go back to work. And they get up and go back to work. I'm just like, what is you? And then they work to the next cocktail hour, which is like 7 o'clock, and then they close down for the day. It was just unreal. So anyway, Derek, thank you for being with us today. Here at Cashflow Pro, we're always looking for new guests and new ways of looking at things and different angles that we can take. So I want you to tell the viewers, whether you're viewing on YouTube or listening on your podcast, how we can or how they can get a hold of you and go from there.
Yeah, so there's multiple ways you can get a hold of us, but if you just go to adaptmediaagency.com, so it's adaptmediaagency.com. If you just book an appointment with me or contact us for marketing related or something that's not marketing related, you can do it right there, or go to Adapt My Health or Adapt My Wealth. So let's adapt, obviously being the anchor word there, but those are multiple places where you can get in contact with us, and just look us up on social. You can contact us that way as well. And we'd love for those who are listening to be part of the community. And Casey, I really appreciate the opportunity to share everything with your audience today.
Yep, you're very welcome, and we appreciate you taking the time to come on here and teach us about those three pivotal things that we all need to definitely pay attention to and learn more about. So again, Derek Petersen with the Adapt family, and that is adaptmywealth.com, adaptmyhealth.com, adaptmediaagency.com. Any of those places you can get a hold of him. Make sure you tell him that I sent you. And we will, again, we appreciate it, Derek, and I hope everybody out there in the Cashflow Pro world has a wonderful day, and we will see you and talk to you next time.
Cashflow Pro is hosted by Casey Brown, founder and CEO of 3000 Capital, a commercial real estate investment firm committed to providing its investors with ongoing cash flow and helping them build long-term wealth. If you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified about all our future episodes. You can find more information about us and our investment philosophy by clicking the link in the show notes below. Thanks for listening.